Hey, good morning, everybody. Ready for another day of some positive eco news. Here we got some really interestingly dramatic lighting there going on. Okay, here we go. Well, what can you do? Not always up to us, the lighting. So, good morning, everybody. We're very excited. We have a very cool positive eco news story to share today. And everybody say good morning to our other
Co-host
co-host
here and producer Sierra
here,
Williams.
Liz.
Hey everybody. Yes, the lighting is very challenging today. Good morning.
Almost have a disco look going on, don't we?
All
All
right,
right,
so
so
today
today what we want to talk about, which is very
very
exciting.
um,
Okay, well,
just
just
to
to
set
set
the
the
stage,
stage,
climate
climate
justice,
justice, climate
green
green
climate
climate
initiatives.
initiatives.
Now,
Now,
Sierra
Sarah
and
and
I
I were
live
down
in
in
Cancer
Cancer
Alley.
Alley.
We
We
also
also
work
work
here
here
in
in
Florida
Florida
on
on
the
the
phosphate
phosphate
issue,
issue,
and
and
we
we
find
find a lot of
challenges
challenges
there.
there.
Um,
Um,
and
and
what
what
we're
we're
finding
finding
is
is
that
that
you've
you've
got
got the government interest generally is it aligns with industry interest. As a matter of fact, right now in Florida, they're trying to change the Florida Institute of Phosphate Research from an independent body to a state control agency. So, there's these weird takeovers happening. So, but somewhere between industry, government interest lies citizen interest, and citizen interest is never looked at on a state level. Florida, it has a terrible record for taking care of its residents, as opposed to, say, the interests of Mosaic. Mosaic is very happy. Mostly the residents aren't, but this is something we see everywhere. We saw it in Cancer Alley, and what we see is that people need these grants to set up mostly air monitoring stations all around, and you guys will get to see it in our documentary, um, Cancer Alley, which will be coming out later this year. So, what's really cool about this is that it was blocked recently. So the EPA has a new ruler, and the new ruler said, forget about anything social justice, anything like that. We want to block all that and basically give oil and gas a free pass on everything. Now, the judge has temporarily blocked the EPA's effort to cancel the 20 billion in climate grants. The judge is blocking this for now because they have to show actual reason. Hey, good morning. I see Elizabeth's joining us here. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing today? Always great to see you on here. I love having you on our chats with us. So this is great news, really great news. And Elizabeth, I'm curious, what do you think about the blocking of these green climate programs? Were there any in particular that you saw that would be a problem for the funding? So what we thought we'd do is just kind of let's dive into the story a little bit. It's just happening. We're all having coffee, here at our house. Sierra and I like to have some coffee, go through stories for the day. When you see an interesting story, it's really important to go everywhere and look at it. And that kind of reminds me. So you'll find language is really designed um, to give a certain message. Noam Chomsky often talked about that. You know, control is done through language, and that's very subtle. If you control the language, you control the people. Now, here's a really funny example. Just to say, here's two sides that are looking at it. Again, we go. Judge temporarily blocks EPA's efforts to cancel 20 billion in climate grants. Okay. Judge bars Trump's EPA from taking back 20 billion in climate grants. 20 billion in climate grants. Said twice. 20 billion in climate grants. Okay, so they're pounding that message. Don't know why this particular side lines up. Now we have this other one that says EPA chief seeks to claw back 20 billion in climate funding, or US judge blocks Trump's EPA from clawing back climate grants. So they're either clawing back these dangerous climate grants, or they are giving back the 20 billion in climate grants. So, language is important there. Do you think they're clawing it back, or do you think they are unfreezing these grants that by the way, went through a huge process to be approved. And I think what we're seeing is just revenge politics, um, because I don't understand any reason for them to block this aside from just what seems to be just a lot of hatred for anything done in the previous administration. And we're friends with people in Cancer Alley, people that are suffering, people that need to have this air monitoring quality. They need to be determined. They're really getting burned because their homes are labeled as residential slash future industrial. In Florida, they have to get switched at least from ag to PMI, which is phosphate mining industrial land. So there has to be a rezoning. In Louisiana, they already did that to everybody, and those people are already have an uphill battle and need these grants, and they need this money, and they need these programs because nobody, as Aaron Brockovich said, Superman's not coming. Nobody's coming to save them. They need what they can get, and what they got has been taken. Now, it being taken has been blocked. So the drama unfolds. But the good news is, for now, for now, whoops, there we go. For now, um, they'll be able to continue, and all of our friends down there will be able to continue their climate monitoring. I'm surprised that Florida doesn't have it. There's such an active community here, and I would be curious to see what everybody thinks about why does Florida not have grants from the EPA. Now, Florida and the EPA have a very contentious background where and there's some really interesting documents we found while we were making phosphate that show that basically all of the local senators, House people kicked the EPA out from being allowed to come in and monitor what's happening with a lot of these mines. Now, if they want to do anything, they have to give them like a week's notice. And surprisingly, everybody passes everything all the time. But if the companies are telling the truth and there is zero pollution and it doesn't affect us in any way, nobody can still explain why there is accelerated cancer rates in those areas. So until they can explain that, we have to blame it on the thing we know causes cancer, which are the chemicals, the chemicals are directly linked to it. Sarah and I were just looking at there's something Stell put up in the Fight for Zero um, group, and it shows that people are getting cancer younger and younger, and we see that. I was diagnosed in my 30s, and I'm surprised I'm still here because you shouldn't have to go through cancer this long, and you shouldn't have cancer this long. But these are hybrid cancers. This isn't your garden variety cancer that they can just look at and say, "Here's the approach. We know how to attack this." There's been a lot of guesswork in my case, and it's something that nobody should have to go through. And the more we talk about it, the less people will have to go through it. Sorry, I'm trying to change my lighting here. Don't want to get overly dramatic with everybody. There we go. So what do you think? Let me know. What do you think about these climate grants? Are you in support of them? Are you against them? What do you think? Do you think that these are worthwhile, or do you think that it is a waste of money? So, hey, good morning, everybody. It's Edmonton Valley Zoo Lucy. This is an amazing group. By the way, if my friends out here are not familiar, go check it out. You have to check out the story of Lucy Elephant, who's being kept in Canada, and think about it, in like sub-zero conditions that are entirely unnatural for elephants. Elephants live in the Serengeti and the plains of Africa and the hot jungles of Thailand. Yeah, they're hot. They're not supposed to be near snow. It's cruel. These guys are fighting for the freedom and the removal of Lucy from these cruel conditions. Because remember, we're humanimal. Humans suffer, animals suffer. We all suffer when the environment suffers. Did the Aaron Brockovich movie help in any way with industry pollution causing people cancers? That's a great question. I think it really had a huge impact because residents around the world said, wait a minute, that's happening in my town. And, maybe you can't get Aaron Brockovich, maybe you can't, but everybody has a local person that can help them out. Florida is very lucky to have an amazing Stell Bailey who has been putting together cancer cluster information, cancer information. She's a cancer survivor. And she doesn't just walk away from that experience and say, okay, now I can move on. She fights every single day to make sure that nobody else goes through what we did. And because it's all preventable. Environmental cancers are preventable. They just need to stop poisoning us. Really, it's not rocket science. So I do think Aaron Brockovich helped tremendously. And I also think it inspired a lot more people to know that we have a voice and we can find a way to stop these companies from taking over our health and our lives. And that's where a lot of these grants come back in as well, because these grants give local communities the ability to monitor oil and gas. And in cancer reality, that's the difference between life and death. So, and Elizabeth, we are so grateful for Stell. And Elizabeth is always working with Stell and has been joining this effort for many, many years now. And the two of them have just done extraordinary things for the state. So hats off to you as well, Elizabeth. You are an amazing eco warrior, and you're always fighting for Florida and for fighting for a clean environment and awareness education, which is the most important thing. And another reason why these grants are important, they will be providing educational grants. They'll be providing research grants. They'll be providing investigative grants, water testing grants. If you've ever wanted to, okay, so just so everybody understands, let's say your local community is being poisoned and you know it because all the kids have leukemia. Something strange is happening. According to the authorities, nothing strange is happening. Everything's fine. Just go about your business. That's the normal. Now, what happens is if you want to make a change, you need to provide certified, qualified water tests. You need to provide certified radiation tests. You need to provide blood tests. You need to provide so much. And we're talking about generally millions of dollars worth of testing that needs to go in before you're even allowed to question a company. It's backwards. They should be having to prove to the communities that they're not polluting in them. But right now it's backwards, and we are the ones on the losing end of this. So it's not easy for a community to fight back with no money. It's not easy. People like Stella and Elizabeth do that. They fight back with very little funding. People like Rise St. James fight back with very little funding. Concerned citizens of St. John the Baptist Parish who are fighting right now about Fifth Ward Elementary School in Denka. And Denka had been finally, after years of not listening to the regulations, had been finally had a lawsuit that was going to force them to change. And that was recently dropped by the new EPA. So the EPA, what do we do? The EPA has good roles and bad roles, right? The EPA, the danger right now is that the EPA is being taken over by lobbyists and industry insiders. And that's going to be a bit of a challenge because aside from regulations, what the EPA does is it tests all the new chemicals coming on the market. So if I want to introduce a new toxin or a new PFAS, the EPA would have had to test it. And if it's considered dangerous or carcinogen in any way, then it would become regulated. Now there are no regulations. So more people are going to be experiencing what we do. That's why these grants are so important. It's all us communities have to fight back. So we find it today to be very positive eco news that as of right now, and we'll keep everybody updated, but as of right now, things are looking good. There is a system of checks and balances. We don't live in a place where there's edicts. There must be reasons, and things must be convincing to multiple people. It's what makes us so great. And it's what's making us great right now. And it's what's saving our environment as we watch them just destroying all the environmental groups, literally demonizing us and starting to turn us into criminals, saying that what we're doing is illegal. Protesting is illegal. And in Florida, you're not allowed to protest. You guys lost that right. You're not allowed to stand somewhere and protest. You have to keep walking. So rights are disappearing And you'll always find there is a proportionate between when rights disappear, profits rise. So let's find a happy medium. We're not going to give up any rights. They're going to have to give up some profit until they can find a way to respect our rights and make their profit. And that shouldn't be a difficult thing to do. Actually, you know what? That should be the bar minimum of entry. That should be your entry level. That should be the basics. So today, as of now, great news, positive stuff. As of now, the EPA is going to be able to continue handing out grants that had already been pre-approved and gone through a long vetting process in order to continue giving local groups the information they need to fight back against the corporate polluters. So a big victory for the David versus Goliath for the Davids here. So excellent. So I hope you guys all have a great day. Enjoy your morning. We wanted to get together and just have a little coffee or tea with everybody and scroll through the news. And we'll see you all tomorrow for a little bit more news as we talk more about these kinds of victories each day. Celebrate the positive. Have a great day.